Okay, I need to use the openEHR-CLI. This is a new project. Before it was part of the openEHR SDK, but now we split that into two different repositories. So it's more clear that the SDK is a library and the CLI is the application that uses that library to do some useful stuff with openEHR artifacts. So the first thing you need to do, if you don't have it, you come here to the repository, you can clone. So you just copy this, you use, git clone and this URL, and you will have the CLI in your computer. Then you need to build. This uses Gradle to build and Java 11, but I think it can compile in Java 17. So right now I have Java 11 here. And what you need to do is just Gradle installDist, and that will generate the binary. Then the binary will be in this folder, is app build install openEHR bin openEHR. We might need to copy that to another folder to make it easier to access. So basically what you see is this in the repository, and in the app folder you have a build folder that actually contains the binary that was compiled. So here, for instance, if I execute the binary, and there is one binary for Linux and another for Windows, and I think the Linux one also works in Mac OS. If you try it on Mac OS, let me know if that works. So if I execute just the binary without any parameters, it will tell me which commands are available. So UIGen is to generate a form, basically, from a template. InGen is to generate an instance from a template. So it will generate, for instance, a full composition in JSON, and will comply with the template that you use as a parameter. OPT-val, it will validate the format of the operational template. InVal will validate instances. So basically, if you use InGen to generate an instance, you give that template, you get an instance, and then you can use InVal to validate that instance against two things. You can validate against the schemas. So if it's a JSON or an XML, it will validate against the JSON schema or XML schema. And those schemas are provided by the openEHR specifications and are included in the SDK, so are part of this project. So you can validate that, but also it can do semantic validation. It can validate your instance against the template. So the first thing is to do the syntactic validation, and the second thing is to do the semantic validation. The trans command, it can transform, for instance, an operational template that is XML only into a JSON. That is very useful, and we are actually migrating our tools to use just JSON templates, and those will be translated automatically by using this tool actually. And also it can take an instance in XML, for instance, and can transform that in JSON, or an instance in JSON and transform that to XML. Yeah, basically it is used to transform between formats, different openEHR artifacts. And the ADL to OPT allows you to, given an ADL archetype, it will transform that into a full operational template. So this is useful, and I built this tool because I have a lot of demographic archetypes, and some tools don't allow to transform between demographic archetypes and OPTs. Yeah, and this tool will be improved in the future, but right now it takes one ADL and transform that LDL into an OPT, an operational template. Yeah, In the near future, we will add the ability to resolve the slots. Basically, when you have several ADLs, several archetypes, and you have an archetype for the composition, an archetype for an observation, an archetype for, I don't know, a cluster, and you have references with slots, you will give all the archetypes to this command, and it will resolve the slots and generate the right OPT. Yeah, right now it's just for one ADL to an OPT. And actually I need to use that command now. So if I do this and I say ADL to OPT, it will ask me for the parameters for that specific command. Yeah. So the openEHR is the actual CLI, and then it provides the commands, and each command has its own parameters. Yeah. So I need to choose the source. The source will be the ADL, and the destination will be where the operational template will be stored. So I will try that, and I didn't try this first before the recording, so I will try to grab the ADL that I need to transform. So I'm actually working right now, so I just thought that this would be a good video to show how this works, because this is a new tool. So I will go back to another folder here. Let me check. And actually I'm working on loading some test data to Atomic server. Atomic is an implementation of openEHR and works with demographic OPTs. So this is why I need to grab that one. I have here an OPT for an ADL for a person that's a patient. Yeah, the name is in Spanish, but it doesn't matter. And I will say, okay, this is the source, and the destination will be in the current folder. I will just generate here, and let's see if this worked. So here is the OPT, and actually so it's there. So you can see that this was generated. This file didn't exist before, so it looks okay, but we can double check. So we can, I don't even remember my own commands. So let's do opt val, and let's see, we need to give the source. So -s will be that opt, and let's see what this says. This is just warning messages, so this is not the output of the current tool. This is the output of the tool. Yeah, it says that the OPT is valid against the schema, and the schema is the openEHR schema for OPTs, so it's not something that I built. So this is what I need. I also need to transform the other ADL I have there. So it will be, this is for the doctor actually. So now we have two OPTs, and now I can show you, because I also need that, how to generate instances. Yeah. So right now we have two templates for this is our templates for person type of the demographic model, and I need a person instance in JSON. So let's say the source will be one of those templates. So it will be the one for the patient. Then it allows me to select the amount. So I will say I need just one. The type will be version or locatable, and I need just the person. I don't need the version. So version basically creates a version object that wraps the locatable, and the locatable is whatever type it says in the root of the template. Yeah. So I need the locatable, and since this is default, I don't need to provide it. Amount minus the destination, I will say here in this current folder, and the format will be JSON or XML, and the JSON is default, and I need the JSON, so I won't provide the JSON because it's the default one, and the flavor is the structure. And I think for this it doesn't matter because the person doesn't have a different structure depending on the API or reference model flavors. The only thing that might be different is the relationship between. This is something that I need to check. I think there is one difference. So let's check the demographic model. And I'm thinking it's how it treats the relationship between the person that is here and the role. Yeah, because the person, if the model complies with the reference model, there are some, there is a list here of, let me increase the size. There's a list here of references to the role. So it's not the role embedded here, but that's if the flavor is reference model. If the flavor is API, I think the roles will be inside the same JSON. So basically, party ref is kind of a foreign key in a relational database. It's a reference. And in general, when we work with the API, we have two kinds of payloads for openEHR. We have when the references are in the data, so just party ref, and when the references are resolved. And the reference resolved means that the actual roles come here into the role. And I think the API will do that. So let me just say, okay, minus flavor API, and we can do both. So let's do flavor API first. That's just some first this is some warnings. So this is not part of the output. This is part of the output. This is first validating the OPT that I provided is correct. This is related to terminologies that are loaded. These logs can be removed. I will remove that later. And then this is the output. Yeah. So I have one JSON here, and I will do just for fun the other flavor, the reference model flavor. And it will be the same. I will generate another JSON file, and I will try to do a diff this is one, this one, and the other one is this one, I think. And there are, well, the data differences are always there. Yeah, this is just random data generated for text nodes. I just want to check. I don't see there is a difference in the role. So maybe it's just, here. There is actually a difference in the role. This role is the actual role in there. And in the other, in the first file, I think it's that. And in the second file, I think it will have references. Or this is the ref. No, this is the reference. Let me check. It will be easier if I open this. Let's check this one. And let's check roles. This one doesn't have any roles. And the second one, I don't want this, I want to see here. Yeah, so this one is the reference model flavor that has a reference to the role, but doesn't have the role embedded. And the other one didn't generate the role actually. Yeah, but if the role was generated, the role should be embedded inside the person, but the rest seems okay. So this should be a person. You have all the details, contacts, identities, and this comes from this model. You have a person, and you have roles, languages. Languages are not there, I think. No, we actually don't use languages, but I think we need to define some because there is a one there. So that's a fix we need to do. But then the details are there. The UID is not generated. It will be generated by the server. That's another thing. In the generator, we don't generate UIDs because we think that these objects are going to be sent to a server and the server will assign the UID. Yeah. Though the UID is mandatory by the reference model. Just you need to consider that this is to be used in an API, really. So identities is there, contacts is there. Yeah. So just minor things that are not there, but the rest is okay and seems okay. And that complies with the template. Yeah. And another instance I need to generate is, let's say flavor API. Let's give the person professional. This is a doctor, kind of provider, health provider, and the rest is the same. You will see the same output, and now we have a new JSON here. And those JSONs, since those are actually valid to be used in the API, will be sent to a server, and we will work with a server. Yeah, but that will happen later. I just wanted to show you what you can do with the openEHR-CLI. You can test the rest of the commands if you want, and if you have any questions, just let me know. Yeah, so remember all the commands you have are there, and this is the repo, openEHR-CLI, and if you want also the SDK, openEHR SDK is the same URL, just changes the CLI and SDK. Yeah. Thank you for watching. Bye-bye.